HOA Karen shot my 5-year-old child's mother over sidewalk chalk and property violations. She thought she was untouchable, the queen of our neighborhood. She harassed us for months, then pulled the trigger. What she didn't know. I'm the district attorney. And justice was about to find her. Before you watch full story, comment below from which country are you watching. Don't forget to subscribe for more amazing stories. My name is Marcus Thompson, and I am the district attorney for Henderson County. This is the story of how one woman's hatred destroyed my world and how she never saw justice coming until it was too late. It started 3 years ago when my wife Sarah, my 5-year-old daughter Emma, and I moved into Riverside Meadows. Sarah was a nurse at the local hospital, and I had recently been elected district attorney. We thought this neighborhood would be perfect for raising Emma. We were wrong. The first time I met Linda Patterson, she was standing at our driveway, arms crossed, wearing a pink tracksuit and oversized sunglasses. She stared at our moving truck like it had personally offended her. "Are you the new owners?" she called sharply. Sarah approached, wiping sweat from her forehead. "Yes, I'm Sarah Thompson. Nice to meet you." Linda didn't offer her hand. Instead, she pulled out a thick binder. "I'm Linda Patterson, HOA president. You're currently committing several violations." "Violations?" "We just got here," Sarah said, confused. "Your truck blocks the sidewalk. Your garage door has been open too long. And those boxes on your lawn are clutter. All violations." I walked over. "Hi, I'm Marcus. We'll clean up by tonight." Linda's eyes narrowed. "Read the rules carefully, Mr. Thompson. This is a respectable neighborhood with certain standards." She thrust the binder at Sarah and walked away. "That was weird," Sarah said. "Every neighborhood has one," I replied. I had no idea how wrong I was. Over the next months, Linda made our lives miserable. Every week brought violation notices. Our grass was too long. Emma's bicycle was an eyesore. Sarah's car was parked wrong in our own driveway. We tried to be good neighbors. We fixed everything. We attended HOA meetings. We followed every rule. It didn't matter. Linda seemed to hate us. I suspected it was because we were one of the few black families in the neighborhood, though she'd never say it. She hid behind HOA rules and property values. As district attorney, I knew people like Linda. They believed they were above consequences. They were always shocked when justice finally caught up with them. Things got worse after Emma started kindergarten. One Tuesday evening, Emma and I were drawing with sidewalk chalk on our driveway. She was laughing, creating a big rainbow with pink flowers. Linda appeared like a storm cloud. "This is unacceptable. Sidewalk chalk violates HOA rules. It looks trashy." I stood slowly, keeping calm. "Linda, she's 5 years old. We'll wash it off later." "You'll wash it now, or I'll fine you $500. Emma started crying. I picked up Emma. "Linda, please leave my property. My daughter is scared." "Good. Maybe she'll learn to follow the rules." Something snapped inside me. "Linda, stop this harassment. If you continue targeting my family, there will be consequences." She laughed. "Consequences? From you? I am the law in this neighborhood. People like you need to learn your place. People like you." The mask had slipped. That night, Sarah said she'd talk to Linda. Woman to woman. Maybe she'll listen to reason. I should have stopped her. God, I should have stopped her. The next afternoon, I was in court prosecuting a robbery case. My phone was on silent. I didn't see the calls or the texts until the lunch recess. 12 missed calls from Sarah's number. 8 from the hospital. 3 from numbers I didn't recognize. My heart stopped. I called the hospital first. This is Marcus Thompson. I have several missed calls. Mr. Thompson, your wife is in the emergency room. You need to come now. The world tilted. What happened? Is she okay? Please come to the hospital, sir. I ran. I left the courthouse, left the case, left everything. I broke every speed limit getting to the hospital. My hands were shaking so badly I could barely hold the steering wheel. When I burst through the emergency room doors, 2 police officers were waiting. I recognized them. Officer Rodriguez and Officer Chin. They worked with the DA's office regularly. Rodriguez's face was pale. Marcus, I'm so sorry. What happened? Where's Sarah? She's in surgery. It's serious, Marcus. She was shot. The floor disappeared beneath my feet. Shot? Who, how? Linda Patterson. Your neighbor. Sarah went to talk to her about the HOA issues. According to witnesses, they were arguing in Linda's front yard. Linda went inside her house, came back with a gun, and shot Sarah in the chest. I couldn't breathe. The hospital walls were closing in. Where's Emma? She's safe. She was at school. Your mother-in-law picked her up. She's with her now. Chen put a hand on my shoulder. Linda Patterson is in custody. We arrested her at the scene. She's claiming self-defense, saying Sarah threatened her. Self-defense. The words made me sick. Sarah didn't even raise her voice when she was angry. Sarah, who spent her life saving people, who sang to Emma every morning, who kissed my forehead before leaving for her night shifts. I need to see her, I whispered. They took me to the surgical waiting room. I sat in a plastic chair and stared at nothing. Nurses walked by. Machines beeped. People talked. But all I could hear was Emma's voice in my head, "Where's Mommy?" How was I going to tell my 5-year-old daughter that a woman shot her mother over HOA rules? The surgery took 6 hours. 6 hours of sitting in that waiting room, staring at those white walls, praying to every god I could think of. My mother-in-law, Patricia, brought Emma to the hospital around 5 p.m. Emma ran to me, her little face confused and scared. "Daddy, where's Mommy? Grammy says she's sick." I held her so tight. "Mommy got hurt, baby. The doctors are helping her get better. Can I see her?" "Not yet, sweetheart. But soon." Emma fell asleep in my arms, exhausted from crying. Patricia sat beside me, her face carved from grief and rage. "Tell me it wasn't that horrible woman," she whispered. I nodded. "Linda Patterson needs to rot in prison," Patricia said, her voice hard. "You're the district attorney, Marcus. Make sure she pays for this." "I can't prosecute this case," I said quietly. "There's a conflict of interest. They'll bring in a special prosecutor. I don't care who prosecutes her, as long as she never sees freedom again." At 9:47 p.m., the surgeon finally came out. Dr. Reeves, a man I'd worked with on several cases involving assault victims. He looked exhausted. "Mr. Thompson, your wife is stable. The bullet punctured her left lung and nicked a major artery. We've repaired the damage, but the next 48 hours are critical. She's in the ICU now. She's unconscious, but you can see her. Will she be okay?" Dr. Reeves hesitated. "She's a fighter. We'll know more in the next few days." I left Emma with Patricia and went to see Sarah. Nothing could have prepared me for that moment. My beautiful wife lay in a hospital bed, tubes and wires everywhere. Machines breathed for her. Her skin was pale, almost gray. A bandage covered most of her chest. I took her hand. It was cold. "I'm here, baby," I whispered. "Emma and I are here. You're going to be okay. You have to be okay." She didn't respond. The machines beeped their steady rhythm. I stayed with her all night, holding her hand, begging her to wake up. The next morning, I met with the police detectives handling the case. They showed me everything they had. Linda Patterson had shot Sarah with a registered handgun. She claimed Sarah had charged at her aggressively, and she feared for her life. But 3 neighbors had witnessed the entire thing, and their stories were identical. Sarah had knocked on Linda's door. They talked on the front porch for about 5 minutes. Voices were raised, but Sarah never touched Linda or made any threatening moves. Then Linda said something, and Sarah turned to walk away. Linda went inside, came back with her gun, and shot Sarah in the back. In the back. Sarah was walking away when Linda shot her. It's clear-cut, Detective Martinez said. Attempted murder. Maybe even premeditated if we can prove she planned it. Patterson is claiming self-defense, but the evidence doesn't support it. What is she saying? I asked. Martinez pulled out his notes. She says, and I quote, "That woman came to my house to threaten me. People like her always think they can intimidate law-abiding citizens. I was protecting myself and my property. If she dies, it's her own fault for not following the rules." I felt rage like I'd never known. Pure, hot rage that made my vision blur. She actually said, "If she dies." I whispered. "Marcus," Martinez said carefully, "you know we can't have you anywhere near this case." I know. But I need copies of everything. Every witness statement, every photo, every piece of evidence. As a concerned family member, I have that right. Of course. We'll get you everything. I spent the rest of the day at the hospital. Sarah remained unconscious. Emma asked when Mommy would wake up. I didn't have an answer. News of the shooting spread through Riverside Meadows like wildfire. And something unexpected happened, people came forward. Dozens of neighbors contacted the police with their own stories about Linda Patterson. She had terrorized the entire neighborhood for years. She had filed false complaints. She had harassed families with children. She had targeted minority families with special cruelty. She had bragged about keeping the neighborhood pure. One neighbor, Mr. Chen, told police that Linda had once called his teenage daughter a racial slur and threatened to have her arrested for loitering in her own neighborhood. Another family, the Johnsons, said Linda had reported them to Child Protective Services 3 times with false claims of abuse because she didn't like their children playing outside. A Hispanic family, the Rodriguezes, said Linda had called immigration authorities on them even though they were all U.S. citizens. The stories went on and on. Linda Patterson had created a climate of fear in Riverside Meadows. But people had been too afraid to stand up to her because she controlled the HOA and had connections at the city council. Now, with Sarah fighting for her life in the hospital, people weren't afraid anymore. They were angry. A vigil was held outside our house. Hundreds of people came with candles and flowers. They held signs, "Justice for Sarah," and "No more HOA tyranny," and "Love your neighbor." Emma and I stood on our front porch and watched. My daughter held my hand and asked, "Are all these people Mommy's friends?" "Yes, baby," I said, tears streaming down my face. "Mommy has lots of friends." On the 4th day, Sarah opened her eyes. I was reading her messages from well-wishers when she whispered, "Marcus." I jumped up. "Sarah. You're awake." She tried to smile weakly. "What happened?" "Linda Patterson shot you. But you're going to be okay." Tears filled her eyes. "Emma. She's safe. She's here with your mom. I'm sorry. I just wanted to talk to her. This isn't your fault. None of this." "Did she go to jail?" "Yes. She's charged with attempted murder." "She's not getting out, Sarah. I promise." Sarah closed her eyes. Good. Over the next week, Sarah got stronger. But I saw the fear in her eyes at sudden sounds. Linda Patterson had hurt more than Sarah's body. And for that, I would ensure she faced every bit of justice the law allowed. Because I was the district attorney and the victim was my wife, the state appointed a special prosecutor to handle the case. Her name was Jennifer Wu, and she was one of the best prosecutors in the state. We met in my office 2 weeks after the shooting. Sarah was home from the hospital, recovering slowly. "I want full transparency," Jennifer said. "I know this is personal for you, Marcus, but I need you to trust me to handle this case properly." "I trust you," I said. "But I need to know what you're planning." "Attempted murder in the first degree. I'm going for the maximum sentence. Patterson's lawyer is already trying to negotiate a plea deal, but I'm not interested. This case is going to trial." "What's her defense?" "The same garbage she told police. Self-defense, fear for her life, standing her ground. But we have 3 eyewitnesses who contradict everything she says. We have her history of harassment documented in HOA records. We have testimony from dozens of neighbors about her racist behavior. And we have the physical evidence that shows your wife was shot in the back while walking away." "What about premeditation?" Jennifer smiled grimly. "That's where it gets interesting. We subpoenaed her phone records. She had been texting her sister the night before, saying she was going to teach that woman a lesson and that she knew how to handle people who don't respect authority. That's premeditation." "She planned it," I said slowly. "She was waiting for Sarah to confront her. That's what I believe. And I'm going to prove it in court." The trial started 3 months after the shooting. Sarah was strong enough to testify, though her doctors warned that it would be difficult for her emotionally. I sat in the courtroom every single day. I took a leave of absence from my job. Patricia watched Emma while Sarah and I focused on getting justice. Linda Patterson showed up to court every day in conservative dresses and pearl necklaces, looking like someone's sweet grandmother. Her lawyer, Robert Davidson, was a slick defense attorney who specialized in cases like this. In his opening statement, Davidson painted Linda as a concerned citizen who had dedicated her life to maintaining her neighborhood. He described Sarah as aggressive and threatening. He claimed Linda had every right to defend herself. "Ladies and gentlemen," Davidson said, "my client is a 62-year-old woman who weighs 130 pounds. The alleged victim is a 34-year-old nurse who works out regularly and is significantly larger and stronger. When Mrs. Patterson saw this woman charging toward her in an aggressive manner, she had every reason to fear for her life. It was disgusting. But Jennifer Wu was ready. In her opening statement, Jennifer laid out the truth. She showed photos of Sarah lying in the hospital, tubes everywhere. She showed the police reports. She showed the text messages Linda had sent to her sister. Linda Patterson didn't shoot Sarah Thompson because she feared for her life, Jennifer said. She shot Sarah Thompson because she believed she had the power to do whatever she wanted without consequences. She believed she was above the law. She was wrong. The first witnesses were the neighbors who had seen the shooting. All 3 told the same story. Mrs. Anderson, who lived across the street, testified that she was gardening when she saw Sarah walk up to Linda's house. They talked on the porch for a few minutes. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but I could tell both women were upset. Then Sarah turned around and started walking back toward the street. That's when Linda went inside. A minute later, she came back out with something in her hand. I didn't realize it was a gun until I heard the shot. Mr. Patel testified that he was washing his car when it happened. Sarah was walking away. Her back was completely turned. Linda raised the gun with both hands and fired. Sarah fell immediately. Linda just stood there for a moment, then went back inside her house like nothing happened. Young Monica Martinez, a teenage girl who had been walking her dog, testified through tears. I heard them arguing. The black lady, I mean Mrs. Thompson, she was saying something like, "You need to leave my family alone," or something. And Mrs. Patterson said, she said something really mean. I can't remember exactly. But then Mrs. Thompson walked away, and that's when Mrs. Patterson got her gun. I screamed. I tried to warn her, but it happened so fast. Davidson tried to break their testimony, but their stories were consistent and credible. The jury listened carefully, taking notes. Then came the neighbors with stories about Linda's harassment. One by one, they described years of abuse. The racial slurs. The false complaints. The threats. Mr. Chen testified about Linda calling his daughter a slur. She told my daughter that people like us didn't belong in this neighborhood. She said we should go back where we came from. My daughter was born in this country. This is her home. The Johnsons described the false CPS reports. She tried to have our children taken away because she didn't like them playing outside. She said their laughter was too loud. Mrs. Rodriguez broke down on the stand describing how Linda had called immigration on her family. We've been citizens for 3 generations. But because our last name is Rodriguez, she assumed we were illegal. She wanted us deported. She wanted our children taken from us. The jury looked horrified. Linda sat stone-faced, her lawyer whispering urgently in her ear. The hardest day was when Sarah took the stand. I wanted to hold her hand, but I had to stay in my seat and watch. Jennifer started gently. Mrs. Thompson, can you tell us what happened on the day you were shot? Sarah took a deep breath. I went to Linda Patterson's house to talk to her. My husband and daughter had been harassed by her for months. I thought maybe if I spoke to her calmly, woman to woman, we could work things out. What happened when you arrived at her house? I knocked on the door. She came out onto the porch. I said, Linda, I need to talk to you about the way you've been treating my family. She immediately got angry. She said I had no right to come to her house. I stayed calm. I said, I just want us to be good neighbors. What did she say? Sarah's voice shook. She said, you people will never be my neighbors. You don't belong here. You should have stayed in whatever ghetto you came from. Gasps filled the courtroom. What did you do? Jennifer asked. I was shocked. I didn't know what to say. So I turned around and started walking back to my car. I was almost at the sidewalk when I heard her go inside. I thought that was it, that she had gone back in her house. Then I heard a loud bang, and there was this incredible pain in my chest. I fell. I couldn't breathe. I thought I was dying. I thought I would never see my daughter again. Sarah was crying now. So was I. So were several jurors. Mrs. Thompson, Jennifer said softly, at any point during this interaction, did you threaten Mrs. Patterson? No. Did you raise your hand to her? No. Did you step toward her in an aggressive manner? No. I never got closer than 5 feet from her. I just wanted to talk. Davidson's cross-examination was brutal. He tried to make Sarah seem aggressive. He questioned her memory. He suggested she had a temper. But Sarah held firm. She answered every question calmly and honestly. She didn't waver. When she finally stepped down from the stand, she looked exhausted but strong. I was so proud of her. Linda Patterson took the stand in her own defense. Davidson had probably told her not to, but she insisted. She believed she could talk her way out of this. She was wrong. I feared for my life, Linda said primly. That woman came to my house to threaten me. She was much bigger than me, much stronger. When she turned around, I thought she was going to get a weapon from her car. I had to protect myself. Why did you go inside to get your gun? Jennifer asked on cross-examination. Because I needed to protect myself. But if you feared for your life, why didn't you go inside and lock the door? Why did you come back outside with a gun? Linda hesitated. I needed to protect my property. Your property? Or did you want to teach Mrs. Thompson a lesson? Isn't that what you texted your sister the night before? Linda's face went red. I don't remember that. Jennifer pulled out the text messages. Let me refresh your memory. You texted your sister, that Thompson woman is going to come talk to me tomorrow. I'm going to teach her a lesson. People like her need to learn respect. Do you remember that? That's taken out of context. Really? What context makes texting about teaching someone a lesson the night before you shoot them acceptable? Linda had no answer. Jennifer spent an hour destroying Linda's credibility. She showed that Linda had posted racist content on social media. She showed that Linda had been reprimanded twice for threatening neighbors. She showed that Linda had bragged to friends about handling the Thompson family. By the time Jennifer was done, Linda was sweating and flustered. The sweet grandmother act had completely fallen apart. Davidson did his best in closing arguments. He talked about the right to self-defense. He talked about the sanctity of property rights. He suggested the neighbors were lying to protect Sarah. But it rang hollow after everything the jury had heard. Jennifer's closing argument was powerful. Ladies and gentlemen, this case is not complicated. Linda Patterson shot Sarah Thompson in the back while Sarah was walking away. That is not self-defense. That is attempted murder. And the evidence shows it was premeditated. Linda Patterson spent months harassing the Thompson family. She targeted them because of the color of their skin. She made their lives miserable. And when Sarah Thompson had the courage to confront her about it, Linda Patterson decided to end the problem permanently. She got her gun, she aimed at Sarah's back, and she pulled the trigger. Sarah Thompson almost died that day. She left behind a 5-year-old daughter who still has nightmares about losing her mother. She left behind a husband who sat in a hospital for days praying his wife would survive. Linda Patterson believed she was above the law. She believed her position in the HOA gave her power over others. She believed she could shoot someone and claim self-defense. Show her she was wrong. Show her that no one is above the law. Find her guilty of attempted murder in the first degree. The jury deliberated for 6 hours. Those were the longest 6 hours of my life. Sarah and I sat in a private waiting room. We didn't talk much. We just held hands and waited. Patricia brought Emma to the courthouse. Emma sat in my lap and asked, "Is the mean lady going to jail, Daddy?" "I hope so, baby." "Good. She hurt Mommy." "Yes, she did. When bad people hurt good people, they should go to jail. That's what you always say." "That's right, sweetheart." At 5:47 p.m., we got the call. The jury had reached a verdict. We filed back into the courtroom. The jury looked serious. Linda Patterson sat at the defense table, her face pale. The judge asked, "Has the jury reached a verdict?" The foreman stood. "We have, Your Honor." "How do you find on the charge of attempted murder in the first degree?" "We find the defendant, Linda Patterson, guilty." The courtroom erupted. Sarah collapsed into my arms, sobbing with relief. Patricia covered her face and cried. People in the gallery cheered. Linda Patterson sat frozen, her mouth open in shock. She turned to her lawyer, demanding to know how this could happen. But Davidson just shook his head. The judge banged his gavel. "Order. Order in the court." He turned to Linda. "Mrs. Patterson, you have been found guilty of attempted murder in the first degree. I will schedule sentencing for 4 weeks from today. Until then, you will remain in custody without bail. Bailiff, please take the defendant into custody." As the bailiff put handcuffs on Linda, she finally seemed to understand that this was real. She looked at me with pure hatred. "You did this," she screamed. "You're the district attorney. You rigged this trial. I'll appeal. I'll "Mrs. Patterson," the judge said sharply, "I suggest you stop talking. You're only making things worse for yourself at sentencing." They led her away, still screaming about appeals and corruption. I held Sarah close and whispered, "It's over. She can't hurt us anymore." 4 weeks later, we returned to court for sentencing. Linda Patterson's lawyer had filed for leniency, arguing that she was a first-time offender and had mental health issues. Jennifer Wu filed for the maximum sentence, arguing that Linda had shown no remorse and posed a danger to the community. The judge allowed victim impact statements. Sarah went first. "I'm a nurse," she said. "I spend my life helping people, saving lives. I never imagined someone would try to take my life over HOA rules. Linda Patterson shot me because she didn't like my family living in her neighborhood. She shot me because of the color of my skin. She shot me because she believed she had the power to do whatever she wanted. I still have nightmares. I still flinch when I hear loud noises. My daughter is in therapy because she's afraid I'm going to die. Linda Patterson didn't just hurt my body. She hurt my family, my sense of safety, my peace of mind." I asked the court to sentence her to the maximum allowed by law. Then I spoke. "Your Honor, as the district attorney, I've prosecuted hundreds of criminals. I've seen the worst of humanity. But I never imagined I would be standing here as a victim." Linda Patterson believed she was above the law. She believed her hatred was justified. She believed she could terrorize families with no consequences. My 5-year-old daughter asked me why the mean lady hurt her mommy. I had to explain that some people have hate in their hearts and take it out on others. I had to tell her that we need to be brave and stand up to bullies. Emma learned at age 5 what many people never learn, that justice matters, that good people must fight for what's right, and that no one, no matter their position or status, is above the law. I asked the court to send a message that hatred has consequences. That violence based on bigotry will not be tolerated. That our community values every person, regardless of race. Give her the maximum sentence. The judge took a moment, then spoke. "Mrs. Patterson, I have reviewed all the evidence in this case. I have listened to the testimony. I have read your lawyer's arguments for leniency. And I am not moved. You did not show mercy to Sarah Thompson. You showed her a bullet in the back. You have shown no remorse for your actions. Even now, you claim you were justified. Attempted murder in the first degree carries a sentence of 15 to 30 years in prison. Given the premeditated nature of this crime, the racial motivation, and your complete lack of remorse, I sentence you to 28 years in state prison with no possibility of parole for at least 20 years. Additionally, I am ordering you to pay full restitution to the Thompson family for medical bills and ongoing therapy costs. Do you have anything to say?" Linda stood, her face twisted with anger. "This is a miscarriage of justice. I was protecting myself. That man," she pointed at me, "used his position to destroy me. I want an appeal." "You have that right," the judge said coldly. "But I have no doubt the appeal will be denied. The evidence against you was overwhelming. Bailiff, remove the defendant." As they took her away, Linda screamed, 28 years? I'll be 86 years old. This is murder. You're murdering me." The irony was not lost on anyone in the courtroom. People often ask me what I learned from everything that happened. The answer is complicated. I learned that hatred can hide behind respectability. Linda Patterson looked like someone's grandmother. She went to church. She followed the rules, her own rules. But underneath, she was filled with poison. I learned that racism doesn't always wear a hood and burn crosses. Sometimes it files HOA complaints and calls the police on children playing. Sometimes it hides behind property values and neighborhood standards. I learned that justice is not automatic. You have to fight for it. You have to speak up. You have to refuse to be intimidated. I learned that good people must stand together. Our neighbors testified at trial even though they were scared. They stood up to a bully. Their courage made justice possible. I learned that being the district attorney didn't protect my family from violence. But it did mean I understood how the system worked. It meant I could ensure that justice was served properly. I learned that my daughter is stronger than I ever imagined. Emma faced something no child should face, and she came through it with courage and grace. I learned that my wife is a warrior. Sarah survived a bullet to the chest. She testified in court. She helped change the law. She rebuilt her life. She is the strongest person I know. And I learned that love is more powerful than hate. Linda Patterson tried to destroy us. But she failed. We're still here. We're still strong. We're still a family. Hate doesn't win. Not in the end. Love wins. Justice wins. Good people win. That's what I learned. And that's what I'll spend the rest of my life proving, one case at a time.